So when I purchased it, and everybody's telling me, oh, you bought this land in Sierra Leone, you have to secure it. I'm like, what does that mean? You have to secure it, you know, someone can come and claim it, someone can come and build on it, someone can do anything with it. I was like, okay, let's build a fence. So my idea is to maybe rent it to like a company. Africa is the last frontier, so they say.
Yes.
There's a lot of opportunities here for young people. It's difficult, but you know, that should not stop us to do something.
Boom! What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Joe Hatagwa from Authentic African in West Africa, specifically Sierra Leone and in Ghana. And if you want to know what it's like to go back and forth from the West, living in Washington, D.C., coming to West Africa, building houses in Ghana and Sierra Leone, then this is the video for you. Okay, cool. So today we are talking to Kweku. He is entrepreneur slash finance professional. He goes back and forth between Sierra Leone and the United States and also Ghana. He happens to be half Ghanaian, half Sierra Leonean. So his background is interesting. He spent his early years living in Sierra Leone, but he also now is connecting with the Ghanaian side and building a house there. So we're gonna talk to him about his experiences going back and forth, building in Sierra Leone, building in Ghana, and living in Washington, D.C. We're gonna talk to him about what his life has been like thus far and why he decided to finally move to West Africa. So without further ado, let's get right into it. All right, guys, we are back in Sierra Leone and we are here with another special guest. We're here with Kweku, AKA Kweku the Traveler. Kweku, first of all, thank you for doing this.
My pleasure, Joe.
So Kweku is an interesting character because, you know, they always say there's 1 degree or 2 degrees of separation from people, 6 degrees of separation, 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, all that kind of stuff. We have 1 degree of separation in 2 different areas, right? He's cousins with a good friend of mine, Sylvia, who you guys have seen on the channel before. And then he's also cousins with, on the other side of his family, with Herman, whose house we're shooting at in Godrich right now. And Sylvia told me you have to meet Kweku. He's an interesting person. He's planning to move here. He's building a house here. He has an interesting story. And so you and I got a chance to meet, and now we're here. We're gonna tell your story to the folks out there. So again, thanks for doing this, Kweku. Before we get into the interview though, I do wanna give Kweku his just due and give you guys a little bit of background on Kweku because his story is interesting, and then we'll get right into his background and where he is now. So he's a Sierra Leonean and Ghanaian planning to move to Sierra Leone at some point in time in the future. He is building a house right now. One thing I do wanna mention is he's a highly skilled professional in international finance and management with several years of financial analysis, budgeting, project finance, tax, planning, and management accounting. He processes analytical skills and interprets the financial data in order to make findings. Obviously, he has interpersonal relationship skills, which is why we're here today. And he actually gets results. He's a great communicator. He is planning to move to Sierra Leone. He's already begun the process of building 2 different properties. And so we're gonna talk to him about all of those things, the challenges with that, how he got to doing it, his background, and all of that. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So first, I'd like to start with your family background. Where's your family from and where'd you grow up?
So my family background is a little bit interesting. My father is from Ghana.
Okay.
And my mother is Sierra Leone.
Okay.
I was actually born in Ghana.
Okay.
But raised in Freetown up until the age of 14.
Okay.
Then I went to US, Long Beach, California. So,
LBC.
Yes.
And you stayed in Long Beach till how long? You don't live in California anymore.
No. So I went to Long Beach at 14 years old, and I went straight to high school there.
Okay.
So I finished my high school education. Then I went to Cal State Long Beach for my undergrad.
Cal State Long, oh yes, okay.
Yes. From there I went to Western Michigan for my master's.
Nice, okay.
Then after Michigan, I moved to the DC area.
Okay, yes. And now you're in the DC area, right?
Yes, I'm in the DC area.
Sometimes in the DC area, sometimes in Freetown Salon.
Yes.
What did you study in undergrad?
So I studied political science, undergrad, master's in international development.
Okay. which is, I noticed a lot of people who have a master's here, it's international development. I think it makes sense, right? Because of what we're doing here and some of the work that's being done here. That makes sense. So those of you who are planning to get a master's degree and you want to do work on the continent, international development seems to be the route to go. Okay, cool. So you got your degree in international development. You've been working in your career for quite some time. What brought you back to Sierra Leone?
couple of things. Actually, when COVID hit,
Yeah.
I was working from home.
Okay.
Right? And I saw how the Western world was just like in standstill. But Africa was moving.
Yep.
Because I was just stuck at home working, not going out much.
Right.
And I started consuming a lot of YouTube content, mostly on Ghana.
Okay.
Like with Maya and the rest of those guys. I was consuming a lot of content and I saw a lot of young people like me from the diaspora investing in Ghana and in Africa. So I said to myself, I'm like, they're not doing anything special. I can do the same thing.
Right.
It's just about just going there and start something.
Right.
So actually you missed one step. So before Sierra Leone, I also have a home in Ghana. I bought a house in Ghana.
Got it.
That's an interesting story. So I was literally on my couch and there's this app called Gigi Ghana.
Yep.
So I just went on Gigi Ghana. I saw an advert for a house. It looks pretty humble, pretty nice and well built. I sent it to my cousin's husband. I said, dude, can you check this house for me?
Right.
He checked it out. It was legit. Everything looks good.
Yeah.
Just transfer the money to Ghana.
Yeah.
I bought the house without even stepping foot in Ghana.
Wow.
We did all the paperwork, everything for my couch in Virginia. We did all the paperwork, did all the payments. House was signed over to me, and then actually went to visit Ghana. And when I went, they just gave me the keys and I walked in.
Wow.
So the house is still there. I'm doing some like Airbnb. You know, I'm doing like short-term rentals. So,
okay.
Yeah, so that was my first investment. That was my first foray into the Africa investment scene.
Okay, when was that? What year was that?
That was 3 years ago.
In 2020.
Yes,
okay.
exactly.
Okay.
That was.
So right smack dab in the middle of what was happening in the global sickness, as they call it.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So I saw that there's a lot of challenges happening, but there's always opportunities. You know, you can find within those challenges. And being home, I was able to consume all that content, and I saw that things were possible. You could do something. Right. So that was my first, entrance into the investment scene.
And you also had somebody on the ground. Yes. So that made it easier to be able to.
Yes, I have family members there.
Yeah, family members there.
Family members there.
Yes, I don't recommend you do that without having someone on the ground, right? Don't just pick a house online and just buy it.
We actually hired a real estate agent.
Oh, and you hired an agent after
that represented my interest.
Okay.
And then when the deal was closed, we paid him a percentage. So So we went through the legal channel.
Right. Very good. That's an important point. Right. Okay, so I missed that step, but we've got the Ghana piece out of the way. So that was in 2020.
Right.
So you went to visit, you got the keys to the house, you have your house in Ghana. How does that now translate to you getting to Sierra Leone?
I come to Sierra Leone quite often.
Yeah.
But I was always afraid to invest in Sierra Leone because it's a really difficult environment.
Sure.
So I'm not gonna lie about that.
Right.
It's really difficult, and it's more frustrating because it's personal, because when you're from somewhere, it's more frustrating. Like if you go to another country, they have their own challenge. You don't really feel it because you don't take it personal.
Right.
So when it's Sierra Leone, where I'm from, and I understand the culture, this is where that I see myself as Sierra Leone.
Right.
So it gets more frustrating. I'm like, I'm not gonna do anything. I just come, holiday and go back.
Right.
And Ghana seemed a lot more stable, so I was like, let me do my first investment there.
Right.
But then I was staying at my aunt's house at the time.
Okay.
And she had a driver. I used to come, he used to tell me, oh, try to invest, buy land, do something. I'm like, oh, Sierra Leone, I don't want to deal with Sierra Leone,
Yeah.
And then, so one day he took me to Waterloo, because it's a little bit outside of the city, but the city is growing, and that's where the population is growing now because land is so expensive in Freetown proper.
Right.
So he took me there, and he's like, oh, you can, let me show you a place, and he showed me it was an acre. I'm sure you'll show your fans.
You'll get a chance to see. I'll show that here so you guys can see it.
It's an acre.
Yeah.
He showed it to me, and it was pretty reasonable. When we negotiated price, it was pretty cheap, almost, it's like they gave it to me, almost for nothing.
Right.
So he convinced me, like, you can get this land, and I can work on the land for you. We can raise cattle, we can do agriculture. And I'm like, okay, I was like, okay, let me do something. I didn't really have a plan. I didn't know what I was doing. I said, okay, it's land, let me just purchase it. So I purchased it.
Okay.
So when I purchased it, and everybody's telling me, oh, you bought this land in Sierra Leone, you have to secure it. I'm like, what does that mean? You have to secure it, someone can come and claim it, someone can come and build on it, someone can do anything with it. I was like, okay, let's build a fence.
Right.
So started building the fence. That took about 2-3 months.
Yep.
Because it's a huge.
It's an acre of land, so it's a lot.
Huge.
It's a lot. Yeah. That's like 10 town lots.
Exactly. So after the fence, and they said, oh, maybe you should build like just a little bungalow, just like a country house, I said, okay, let's build a bungalow. So we started building a bungalow, no plan, nothing. By the way, I'm a risk taker, as you can tell.
Yeah.
But it always turns out to be,
calculated risk.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we started building the house.
Sure.
And then while we're building, it turned to a 2-story house, and it just evolved, basically. So now it's evolving into an investment property, because my thinking is, because that's an industrial area. There's a lot of industries coming up and a lot of people setting up factories there. So my idea is to maybe rent it to like a company that's doing industrial work there, and maybe they can rent it for their senior staff or their expat staff, and it's, you know, everything's will be included like we discussed. We'll have a pool, we'll have recreational areas, we'll have a lot of different things in the compound. A company can just come and rent the whole thing, and hopefully they'll be safe and secure in there.
And it's 2 stories, right?
Yes, it's 2 stories.
2 stories, yeah. And then the good thing about renting to a company is sometimes they rent for 2 years up front, not just 1 year, right? So it's a large influx of cash to kind of make that money back that you spend.
And they can manage the property well for you.
Yes, especially if it's a business, right? They want to ensure that the expats who come to town or people who are staying there are comfortable. Okay, so I was going to ask you what type of house you're building, but you already mentioned that. What was the process like acquiring the land here in Sierra Leone? What did you go through to secure the land? Who did you buy it from? All of that kind of stuff.
It's a community land. So you have to buy it from the community, right? The first thing you have to do is get a surveyor. We're selling a plot of land. You want to make sure it's actually a plot. So the surveyor will come and plot the land.
Using GPS?
Yes. Do the measurements. And also check if there's any ownership on the land. Like basically the people selling it, do they own the land, or do they have a right to sell it? Or does someone else own the land? We'll check all that process in the system. We negotiated with the people selling the land. So I went to the headman. The chief is actually a little bit like not so close to the environment, because the chief oversees a larger part of the community. The headman is very specific part. So if you if you purchase the land in that specific area, the headman will have more information for you. So I went to the headman, and actually they have to sign. When you negotiate with the seller, the surveyor comes out with the survey plan. So the seller has to sign, the headman has to sign, the headman of the community, and the Waterloo council is also another step. The council that oversees the Waterloo, that guy has to also sign. Yeah, because if someone tries to squat on your land, now you have these documents that show all of these parties have signed. Yeah, all the different levels. And it's clear that they've done their research to know that you have the right to own that. But even if you have, that's the thing about Sierra Leone, someone else, you can actually create this exact same copy of what I have. True, and backdate it. Exactly. Which people do sometimes. So the best way to secure is to fence it out. Fence it and then engage the land. You know, engage. Start farming on it, do something on the land. So that way, you know, typically they say if you want to know if a land has conflict, just start something. Just throw some stones or some sand on it, and then you'll see people coming, oh, why are you doing that? That's my land. Exactly. So you just have to test it, right? So that's, I mean, I did all of that, you know, so and engaging the land. I bought it in January, and like February, March, I started building the fence. I engaged it immediately. And so we talked about this earlier, because I'm working on a guest house and it's taken me over 1.5 years to do the guest house. How long did it take you from start to finish to build the 2-story house that you built? I mean, you're like, what, 95% done? Yeah, 1.5 years. 1.5 years. 1.5 years. So if the finances are there, it's quick. Yeah, well, that's an interesting conversation. So the finances, you have to be really creative. Okay. So the first thing I did when I bought this piece of land, obviously I have bills to pay. Sure. I have commitments. Yep. You know, so what I can say, point blank, your income is never going to be enough. Sure. So you have to be creative. So the first thing I did, I was here when I bought the land. When I went back to the US, I said, I have all these responsibilities and I have this home in Ghana. I'm now trying to furnish, trying to get up to speed. You know, you have your bills. So the first thing I did was say, okay, let me call 5 or 6 of my friends that I trust. I just picked up the phone and called them. I'm like, Joe, guess what? We're now doing Osusu. You're part of the Osusu, and this is the amount we're going to be putting every week. And I'm going to be the first one to draw. They said yes, you know, because they trust me. Like one thing about investment, try to look within your network. Sure. Maybe someone can help you, and the best way to do is to set up. In Ghana, they say Susu. Yeah. But in Sierra Leone, we say Osusu. Osusu, yeah, and so people are familiar with that in the States. Exactly. So I just called 5 of my friends that, guess what? We're now doing Osusu, and this is how much we're paying every week, and I'm the first one to draw. They say, okay, whatever. So that's what I started doing. Okay. And then 2, obviously, I took personal loans. The good thing about the US is we have access to finance. And at that time, the interest rates were really low. Sure. I'm not afraid to take personal loans. You know, I take personal loans, so with the Osusu personal loans, and then I have other properties in the US that we didn't talk about as well. Sure. For some reason, I found myself in the real estate space just by accident. Sure. And I can tell a really good story on that as well. So I also did equity loans for my properties, because I have 2 properties there. I was able to take equity loans off them. and that money I just sent it to Africa basically. So you have to be creative, you know.
Yeah.
Personal loans, equity loans, or Susu, your income. Maybe, you know, you can even do maybe part-time if you can, but I was not able to do that.
Sure.
So those are the kind of things you have to do, basically.
Yeah, it's very cash intensive. And I think if you guys are listening closely, all of that was things that he did to finance it from the States.
Exactly.
Right? It's very difficult to get a mortgage or a loan here.
Exactly.
In the US, you have a lot more access to finance.
Exactly.
So that's just really important note to keep in mind. If you want to get something built quickly, it's going to take cash.
Right.
And as he said, you might have to be creative. You need to get cash. Unless you're flush with cash, which some of you might be.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's a good point. Now, in the community that you're in, you had mentioned that you're trying to get other folks to buy other plots of land.
You know, people in Africa sometimes they're shy to share what you're doing. They say, oh, don't talk about it. Somebody might witch you. Somebody might, you know, do something bad to you.
Yeah.
Not everyone will be happy for it. But I'm not from that school of thought. So, because I usually come holiday time. So, and you know, in Sierra Leone in December, a lot of folks from the diaspora come on holiday.
Absolutely.
So I'll take my friends there. I'll take them there. I'll pick them up. You know, like I picked you up.
Yeah.
I went there. I'll show them there, and they will like it. And I think 4 or 5 people have bought plots right next to me.
Nice.
They've built fences, and they are trying to also engage. So we're building like a community there now.
Right.
So you know, I'm not shy about that. So because that's my own way of contributing to Sierra Leone. Because sometimes we criticize. Someone will say, "Oh, what have you done?"
Right.
So I want to be able to say, at least I've done this.
Yep.
Because when you're building, you're creating employment for people.
Absolutely.
And you're buying materials. You're using the local engineers, local contractors. You're creating employment and you're adding value to the whole system, right?
Right.
A lot of my friends and family, they've gone to the place and they've seen it and they love it. It's serene, it's green, it's flat, it's easy to monetize.
Right.
Basically, you can start something immediately. Even my place, as you can see, half of it is agriculture.
Right.
So I plant groundnuts, I plant cassava, I plant bananas, plantains. There's a lot of things you can do there. It's a really fertile soil.
Yeah. I think that's really important, right? Because you mentioned a number of different things. And I think the most important thing was creating an ecosystem to create jobs.
Exactly.
Right. Our biggest challenge here in this country is the minimum wage is very low.
Right.
And people always say that they can't find jobs, right? And they're always looking to the government for jobs.
Right.
And I think it's important that the private sector creates jobs.
Right.
By doing what you're doing in the short term, you're employing a number of different people, right? You have people on site that are managing your property, you have contractors, you have engineers, all of those people.
So when I started building, obviously I'm not here.
Yep.
And even if I'm here, I'm not going to be able to go there every day because I have other interests. I have other investment things. I'm, scanning the environment. I hired someone as a project coordinator.
Okay.
You understand? Pay the person's salary every month. Try to develop the person's skills about, planning, being proactive, teach them about procurement, teach them about, the whole like supply chain, like how to secure, how to procure materials, transport them, secure them. And the person, so I created an hierarchy as well.
Right.
So the person was the face for me at the site.
Okay.
If anything is going wrong, they call that person. They don't call me.
Right.
So there's accountability and they also respect her, right?
Right.
So, she runs the whole operation.
Right.
So if anything happens, then once she gets information from the frontline people, she, cascades it up to me, right? So I created that hierarchy. So in order to be successful, so it's not just about the money.
Right.
So you have to create a system for yourself.
Especially if you're doing it remotely.
Exactly. You have to create a system. So many times we hear stories, I sent money and my brother was building for me, they ate the money, blah, blah, blah. One thing I find out a lot of times, they don't compensate people that work for them. Mm-hmm. They say, oh, that's my cousin, that's my brother. They will give him like a few bucks in there. But I looked at it as a job.
Right.
I looked at it as I ran it like a business.
Right.
You understand? And this person was paid very competitively, more than maybe some people in working in the offices or in the banks.
Right.
So I think when you do that, you empower them.
Yep.
And you motivate them. And also all these skills that I was transferring, all the capacity building I was doing with this person and the other people around this person as well. I think my experience, in order to succeed, you have to set up, like what we learned there that worked, we have to find it, transplant it here.
Right.
And it may not fit exactly. We have to adjust given the environment because the environment is difficult.
Yep.
So for me, I think that's the biggest reason why I was successful. It's not about the money because people have more money than me. They're not able to do that in a year and a half. And even for the contractors, I don't like when it came to their labor cost, I didn't negotiate as much.
Okay.
Because I let them put a value on what the labor entails.
Right.
I reason that if you tell me this is worth $100 and I pay you that, you're gonna work hard.
Right.
You're gonna do your best because you're being paid what you think the work is supposed exactly.
Right,
So
right.
so you have to have that mentality and that system in place, and it's worked for me. And just to give you an example, so this coordinator, so all my friends that came to Bill, they also employed this person.
Nice.
So now she has a portfolio.
Yep.
You know, and she's doing a lot of work, and she's also helping a lot of people as well.
Nice. How did you find this project coordinator?
Just look within your family. There's a lot of, there's a lot of unemployed people. They'll have degrees, they don't have a job, and sometimes they're not motivated.
Right.
Just look within your family, your extended family. There will be someone who is eager to work. And once you take them under your wings and teach them and they learn from you, they'll be motivated. So that's what I did. I just looked within my family.
Okay, so we talked a lot about what led up to the house and what that process was like.
Right.
I have general questions for you about the country, right? I mean, as someone who was born in Ghana, grew up here, went to high school and college and master's degree, but now you come back, you have now seen the broader world, right?
Right.
So I have questions for you because many of these folks out there are living in the diaspora and they're thinking about coming here and building houses and all that kind of stuff. So the first question I have for you on that topic is, what were some of the challenges you found during this process of buying and building the house?
Well, one big challenge is prices fluctuate a lot.
Yeah.
So if you go to the building material shop, you ask for a particular item, the next day you come, it's a different price. So it's very hard for you to plan.
Yep.
And if you start tracking all your expenses, you'll get discouraged because it's crazy. So it's really unpredictable.
Yep.
Once when it's that unpredictable, it messes, even if you're someone that plans, it messes with your plan. And you always have to adjust. And you also have to have a contingency as well. What if this goes wrong? What can you do? So that's, for me, I think that's the biggest challenge. Number two, even with the fluctuation, materials are very expensive in Sierra Leone. So Sierra Leone, materials are expensive, labor is very cheap. So for me, the prices of the materials are the biggest challenge when you're trying to build. When you try, we spoke about acquiring the land, about theft and squatting and all those things, and someone can also create the same paperwork you have for your land. We've spoken about that. But as far as building, prices are the biggest challenge.
Yeah, that's a good point. And that's because most of the products are imported.
Exactly.
Right? Even if it originates here, it's exported and re-imported because it's something done to it externally and it comes back. Like wood, a lot of times is expensive when we have plenty of forest and deforestation even happening here.
Exactly.
Okay, so separate from the challenges, what are some of the things that you look forward to once this house is built?
I'm also trying to get into some business ventures as well.
Sure.
I've identified a couple of areas with some other friends of mine.
Sure.
I mean, I won't get into that much because it hasn't started yet. Sure. So once this is complete, I can start, setting up businesses, maybe, SMEs,
right.
to kind of get, because it's to generate income, basically, create employments and also generate income. Because the goal is to ultimately move to Africa, to be between Ghana and Sierra Leone. Right. And if I do that, I'll need income. Absolutely. I'll need income to, to maintain my lifestyle, basically. Sure. So I'm trying to set up businesses that are gonna, maybe 4 or 5 years from now, that are gonna be able to, bring me the kind of income I would need to be comfortable, basically. Because, that's what it's about. Absolutely. Yeah.
And on that note, I mean, you kind of said it, but what advice would you give to folks looking to build and buy land here in Sierra Leone and in Ghana?
I think my overall lesson I've learned from this is to be present. When you're present, you'll see opportunities, you see the challenges. Because if there's a land available, you're not around, someone else is gonna get it. Right. So, visit as much as possible, move around the country, ask questions. Yeah. And just be present, and you have to, once you're present, you're able to take advantage of opportunity as they come. Absolutely. So that's one thing I learned, because in Sierra Leone, I was here when this evolution started, right? Right. I came and someone showed me land. I became interested, even though I wasn't thinking about buying land when I was coming. Right. I had to organize my finances, organize my life. Sure. But these things happen. So being present, take the opportunity to come and visit. Sure. Yeah. Have an open mind. You're not coming to do anything, just come and visit. move around, ask questions, because that's what I was doing.
Right.
Ask questions, and you identify areas of opportunities and just do something.
Right.
You know, and we kind of create our own luck, so to speak, right? So if you're present on the ground, you'll be able to create your own luck because there's a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, you know, they say luck is when opportunity meets preparation,
exactly,
right?
Exactly.
And so you just mentioned there's a lot of opportunities, but
Yeah.
you don't access those opportunities unless you're prepared.
Exactly.
And by being here,
Exactly.
that's the preparation. So
Exactly.
that I think was a really important point, really good advice. If people want to buy land next to you, near you, and work with your project coordinator, how can they contact you?
So I'm on Instagram,
Yep,
Kweku the Traveler.
that's it,
So
Kweku
you
the
can just
Traveler.
hit me up. I think you can put the link.
Yeah,
to
it'll
my-
be in the description
Yeah,
below.
you can put a link, and then so Kweku the Traveler, basically.
Nice. Anything else you want to say to the folks before we go?
Africa is the last frontier, so they say.
Yes.
There's a lot of opportunities here for young people. It's difficult, but you know that should not stop us to do something.
Right.
Because guess what? You know, foreigners are in Sierra Leone.
Yes.
You know, and they're making a lot of money.
Absolutely.
And if they can do it, we can do it. So that's like the main thing we have to think. And it's not just, it's everywhere in West Africa. There's a lot of opportunities. Just take the opportunity and visit.
Yep.
And have an open mind. And you will definitely, and one thing I always say is like, especially those who have not been here for such a long time.
Sure.
When you come the first time, it's gonna shock your conscience.
Yep.
And it's gonna motivate you
Sure.
to do something. So that's what I would advise anyone needs to do. Just come and visit, and then you find something to do it, just like I did.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Great way to end it. Well, thank you, Kweku, for doing this. I appreciate
pleasure.
it, my man.
Thank you very much.
We've had a lot of great conversations. You guys weren't privy to those, but maybe on another vlog you get a chance to see that. Okay, cool. So that was the interview with Kweku. What did you guys think? If you had any questions that I didn't ask, put them in the comments below. If you want to check out the next video, we're going to be going on a tour of his house in Sierra Leone. We'll also show you some footage of the house in Ghana as well. But I think it'll be really important for you guys to kind of see that. So make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. Hit us with some comments below if you have any comments. Make sure you share this with at least 3 people you know that are planning to move to West Africa. With that, guys, thanks for watching. See you all in the next video. All right, guys, if you like this video, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, like, comment, and share it with your friends. All right, see you on the next video.